Russia's foreign ministry is slamming the door shut on CBC reporters. It is closing the Moscow bureau shared by CBC and Radio Canada. A spokesperson says it's in response to Canada's decision to ban a Russian state TV channel.
Ответных, подчеркиваю, ответных мер в связи с действиями Канады, а именно с закрытием московского корпункта канадской государственной телерадиовещательной корпорации CBC, включая аннулирование аккредитаций и российских виз ее журналистов.
And the CBC's Tom Perry is tracking the story for us. He has more from London.
Russia's foreign ministry says it's closing the CBC bureau in Moscow. It says it's also withdrawing the visas and accreditation for CBC journalists working in Russia. The foreign ministry says this is in retaliation for actions taken by Canada. The CRTC removed Russia Today, that's the Russian state-run broadcaster, from Canadian airwaves in March. The federal government said the channel was spreading Kremlin misinformation. Moscow has been cracking down on media outlets operating in Russia. The Kremlin controls pretty much all of Russia's domestic media, but even foreign outlets were worried when Russia brought in new measures in March that would impose a prison term of up to 15 years on anyone spreading what the Kremlin considered fake news. So essentially anything that went against the official Russian line on the war in Ukraine. This move against the CBC seems to be the next step in that crackdown on independent voices working inside Russia. And it's not the first time the Kremlin has targeted Canadian journalists or even the CBC. In April, Moscow imposed travel bans on 61 Canadians, and that included Mark McKinnon, a foreign correspondent for the Globe and Mail who used to work in Russia, John Ivison, a columnist for the National Post, Terry Glavin, another journalist and columnist, and Catherine Tate, president of the CBC. So the CBC has been targeted before, but this time it's being targeted much more directly. Tom Perry, CBC News, London.
Now, in a statement, CBC Head of Public Affairs Chuck Thompson says the news is deeply disappointing. He goes on to say in this statement that we have maintained a bureau in Moscow for more than 44 years and are currently the only Canadian news organization with a permanent presence in the country. Our journalism is completely independent of the Canadian government, and we are saddened to see the Russian government conflate the two. To our knowledge, this is the first time in the history of CBC Radio Canada that a foreign government has forced the closure of one of our bureaus. This appears to be another step by Russia to stifle a free and independent press within its borders. We are tremendously proud of the journalism our correspondents have produced in Russia over the past many years, and we will continue to tell the story of Russia as best we can from outside the country. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has taken aim at Russia for that decision. In a tweet, he said this: Putin's decision to expel Canadian media from Moscow is an attempt to silence them from reporting the facts, and it is unacceptable. Journalists must be able to work safely, free from censorship, intimidation, and interference. That is something Canada will always stand up for.